Film Festival. We have Houston Comedy Film Festival, Fall 2022 coming up in November. We are excited to have this event. We're showcasing all kinds of creative content, everything from funny music videos to television series episodes, dark comedy, romantic comedy, mockumentary, stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, horror comedy, you name it. We got filmmakers from all over the world that are trying to make you laugh with content that is 30 minutes or less, as well as we feature screenplays as well. We're going to have an awards program and about 4.5 hours of content to screen, and it's all funny. So come join us, hang out, and check out these films. One of them is nominated for the Best Proof of Concept Award, and that would be Billie. And Billie, the whole film crew is here. So congrats, everybody, on your award nomination. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, good job on this. Good job on this. It's super funny. And the judges really got a kick out of it. And they just, you make us look good. You bring great content like this. I want to tell everybody what it's about, but please, can one of you give me the synopsis of Billie?
Sure. The synopsis is a sharpshooting runaway slave is hunting down the most powerful slave owner in the South, who is currently tormenting her entire family.
All right. Interesting. I see this working. Obviously, this sounds like it's a part of a larger project. Does anyone want to tell me, like, if it's a proof of concept, is it for a series, web series, film, trilogy? Can one of you guys take that?
You could sort of imagine, Billie as probably one of the first scenes of a feature. That's sort of the grand idea, is that there's this, like Travis mentioned, this like larger story to tell there, and what we have here in the short film is something that's that you can imagine to be one of the opening scenes, obviously starring Travis and Tom as these guys who aren't the best bandits in the Old West and kind of get wrapped up into something a little over their heads, but they're along for the journey, and for the adventure. And so that's kind of what's going on there.
All right, so it's a period piece. It's funny. It sounds a little violent. Like, let's go around the room and figure out why you got involved with this. Like, this is a different concept that anyone's presenting in the festival. Again, it's very funny. But hey, Thomas, you want to lead us off on this one? Why did you creatively want to get involved with this one?
Well, I've always, I grew Three Amigos, Back to the Future Part 3, like that. And I'm a huge fan of West Show. When Travis told us like all in, and I really wanted to do. It's sort of loosely based a historical figure who was Coach Mary back during this time period. A little bit of I guess of a true story. So it makes it more interesting too if there's a history that you can kind of tie this story to. I love action comedy overall, and I really wanted to play Cal too.
All right, and Tanner, what about yourself?
It's sort of funny. I came on because Travis and I have collaborated a lot in the past. The idea sort of originated with Travis. I think he wrote at the very least the first draft, I think you might have written every draft. Everybody got to weigh in on it a little bit. And Travis and Tom are the producers and stars. And like I said, I've collaborated with Travis a lot. He always makes me laugh. Not only with like his writing, but just as like somebody you're hanging around with, which I think is like one of the most important things if you're going to start committing your time to make it. Yeah, I know. Look at him. When you're going to commit your time, you know what I'm saying? You know how it goes, Michael. And so that was the thing. I was like, okay, yeah. Can I make an Old West short with some friends? Well, yeah, the people I like and a story that I, think is funny and has some merit. That's what attracted me to it.
All right. And what about you, Travis?
Well, I was like raised by movies as a child. It's like I was home for hours before my parents got home from work. They worked a long way away, so I just watched every rated R movie that I could watch as a child. So I've always had a really, really close relationship with like late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s film, when film was just like just beating TV to death. And movies were fun, and they were fast paced. It was a vacation from life. And, that's kind of like what was in the back of my head, always wanting to make my passion project, because in action was like just a driving force of the late 80s and early 90s. And like I just never really got away from that. And I always wanted to, be closer to that form of storytelling. So we just put it together, and thankfully I was able to get, Tom involved and Tanner involved. Tanner is just like limitless with his creativity. I know of no one better that could have played Cal than Tom. It's just one of those lucky things where everything kind of just fell in place when we did it.
Okay. From a technical perspective, getting this whole production just finished, I'll stay with you on this one, Travis. Did you learn anything in this process?
Yeah. Don't get COVID. There was a lot involved. We had our scout where we went out on the place that we liked. Everything was great. We found Deborah, who was insanely busy, and that was in the height of COVID. So it took, and I'm sure that you're going to hear this from every filmmaker, it took just a different mindset of planning, because your plan can be rock solid, and then day of, you have someone that gets COVID, and you might have your entire day, ruined from something that's just like this monster that's just this cloud that's overhanging everybody. So technically it was, it's like you learn a lot of stuff. It was windy on the day, and we had to put, we had a horse on set, which was a new thing. A live animal on set is a huge deal, because then you have to have a wrangler for the live animal. There was a lot of things involved that there's really no over planning when it comes to film, and no matter the length of it, is what I learned again.
What about you, Tanner? You add to that one?
Oh my gosh. I think the thing that my biggest takeaway from production, Michael, you got to imagine, like in LA, there's not a lot of wilderness. You know what I'm saying? There's not a lot of wilderness, and anything that you're going to try to do that's period is going to be more expensive. And it's hard to find these costumes. It's hard to find these props. It's hard to find these locations. And we sort of started racking our brains about where are we going to do this? How are we going to make it look as authentically Old West? How are we going to keep it cinematic? And we wound up finding a spot in a little north of Los Angeles. And oddly enough, it was like I think a little miracle for production value. Like, this guy owns like hundreds of acres, and he also has an Old West town, and he's also got Old West props, and he's got Old West costumes. And so we were able to like one-stop shop like all of it, all of the production design, all of the costumes, everything you see came from this one guy. And so that saved us an extraordinary amount of time, probably saved us money from trying to find it from all these different places. And then just kind of made it easy. And so I would not tell people to go out there and make a period thing, because it's just harder. It's just harder to do that. But if you are, try to find somebody or some location that checks as many boxes as possible, because that'll make it easier for you.
Yeah. Good advice. What about you, Thomas? What'd you learn from this whole production?
Well, what you think you can do in a day, sometimes you always want a cushion on there. I kind of wish we would have had a cushion for, just a little bit more time, because there were so many great ad lib lines and things like that, had we picked them up, in a better shot, we could have used them. One line in particular, should I give it a guess or no?
Sure.
I'll give it away.
But you have to do it in action. You have to do it in character.
Yeah.
She had lived this line, and it ended up being kind of like a tagline for the movie. It was she was like, "Are you all butterscotch boys?" And it was just like we were just cracking up, man. We couldn't, but we that was one of the ones we got to keep. But when you're making a comedy, it's if you can give yourself more time to play around, do all that weird actory stuff, do all those ad libby things, I think you end up with a better project.
Yeah, it's hard to account for ad libbing and those things that you don't expect on set, and even when you're still rolling, it may not make sense in your production. But all good things. Sounds like you've all been through the fire, man. It's good to learn about just how this whole project was put together. Let's talk about the future of just you guys individually. We talked a little bit about the series, but we'll start with you, Tanner. What's up next for you? What are you working on?
I currently work as a host for a show called Dish Nation, and so you can see me 5 days a week on that. Check your local listings. I am super excited. I made a film that came out in 2020. Really proud of that. It's called Faith Based, and kind of have like a co-writer and another collaborator that I've worked with a lot, my buddy Luke. And we think we're going to make another film next year. And where we've done comedy in the past, and like even Billie is a comedy with some action, we're probably going to do something very dark, very disturbing, that has no comedy at all. That's kind of, and this is a spoiler, so don't tell anyone, especially everybody on the internet listening and watching right now. Something that's like sort of a modern, God, I'm giving it away right here, kind of a modern version of the Frankenstein tale. And kind of readapted for like 2023. And what would that be like with a twist? And so that's something that we're super excited about. We just sent the synopsis to a production company that specializes in sort of horror and thriller. And so that's our thing that we're like, fingers crossed, that'll be the next full-length movie that we make.
Okay. What about you, Travis?
Well, I am going to immediately start on solidifying the full outline of Billie. It is going to be a feature. I have mostly just kind of ideas floating around. I write dialogue like I write. I also do stand up, so I don't really, until the idea is like at a burning like rage in my mind or my chest, that's when I start to put it on paper. Because if it doesn't move me to get to that point to put it on the paper, I'm not gonna like what is on the paper. So it's kind of living in my head still right now, but I'm extremely close to putting together at least the outline, and then the scenes just kind of start to write themselves. Especially with the story that's just as open-ended as this. It's just full of insanely colorful characters, larger than life characters, things that you would, expect from the Old West, all that stuff. So that's my immediate focus, and that's going to take up, most of my creative energy is going to be just getting this to a point where it's a solid rough draft.
All right, Thomas, what are you working on?
Well, a couple of months ago, I just wrapped on a kind of a thriller horror movie, and that's going to be going to festivals in 2023. Most likely, they're still finishing up in post. I will be helping Travis too once he's done with the feature length. We're going to try to get that all packaged up and get it made. And so I'm happy to be working with him on that. And then I'm also writing a feature of my own. It's outline and more or less a quarter of the way through the whole thing. And it's Yeah, it's a dark. I can't really talk about the concept, but it's a dark comedy action movie. So another action comedy, but on the darker side.
You guys are all over the place with these projects, man. This is awesome. Definitely a creative group of people all working on different things, but you come together as a team. I'm sure that, Billie has a future. Keep working on it. We're looking forward to screening this in Houston. The judges just have so much respect for your work, and we're just proud to screen it, man. Thank you. I thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything, you're very welcome. Is there anything that you would like to add before we go?
Yeah, I would just I want to give a quick shout out to the Houston Comedy Festival judges for giving Billie a screening, because we're really happy and excited to have the film screen there, and again, just super happy and excited about it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And what's the best way to get in touch with you guys if they want to learn more about Billie or just learn more about what you're doing in the future?
We don't have
an
an
Instagram,
but my Instagram, the Thomas William. You can DM me there, or Travis Tanner.
Yeah, slide all up in Thomas's DMs. What he needs are some DMs. Please, good people of the internet, slide up in those DMs.
I don't care,
Well, we got a few Instagram handles in the description, so I'm sure they'll get a hold of you somehow.
You can find me at DM of Tan, but don't slide in my DMs.
All right, gentlemen, good times. We're gonna see you at the festival.
I was gonna say, we individually will all share any updates to Billie as we go. We're kind of waiting for the circuit to finish so we can just kind of package everything nice and clean, and then we'll probably end up making some sort of splash page for Billie or Instagram for that specifically, where we can kind of post little 5 to 7 second reels of dialogue, stuff like that, because that went pretty well. I did like a little run of that. I did like that. So we do want to get somewhere that houses it where it's nice, clean, and easily accessible for people.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Well, look, this has been great. I appreciate you taking the time. See you at the festival.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Mike.